All right, gentlemen.
All right.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
See you later.
Phil, are you going to take some beer home or what? Why don't you take Chloe?
Chloe, you set him up with some beer.
She's like, I'm busy right now, man. I'm busy.
He said this man.
Give us allotment. Hey, Chloe,
Can't
give us allotment.
We could probably give him a rain check from last week to. I'm sure. Take some craft sodas too, Phil. The other ones. All right, sorry.
Don't be, man. Don't be.
Can't sell, you have to give away.
It's not a bad thing. Must be nice just to, so-and-so, just take some beer home, You're everybody's best friend when you say that, right?
I know, but are they really your friend?
It doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter.
Friend
They still like you.
friend
You just don't know
friend
what for. Okay, so you guys have been here for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah.
How's business going? How is it to be in your brew beer in your own brewery a couple of years later?
Well, it's one thing we've been working for right from the start.
Right.
As plans go, nothing happens exactly in the timeline that you hoped it would.
100%.
Took a little bit longer to get everything in place, but Chris and I kind of do things the hard way probably, and but we do it the right way. And so, it's full steam ahead. And so establishing this kind of agritourism destination, so we link the farm, what happens out there with the brewery in close proximity is part of our whole mandate. When it comes to summertime, it just the traffic flow quadruples, if not crazy.
And the workload.
Yeah, workload. So
people don't even realize how much work it takes to not only build a hop yard, but actually to maintain it. Like there's lots of stuff that you repeat every spring, every summer, every fall. Some things that you don't have to replant, but you always have to kind of think about the next year, the 2 years ahead. So we're planting some more rhizomes this year. And so it's always a progression, right?
And try to learn from our mistakes and not try to repeat them.
Didn't you do that last year?
I'm pretty sure Lawrence makes more mistakes than most.
It's awesome. That's what I was saying to you before. Okay, so you open a brewery, but you guys really have a couple businesses going, right? So you're before someone else was doing the end of producing, your hops for you. Now you're doing it yourself. So I know that's one thing you wanted to do, but now that you're doing it, are you glad you're doing it?
Well, it takes a while to establish your hop yard. We've had hops growing now for this is
7
going
years,
to our 8th year, right? So we're talking about learning from our mistakes, perhaps, and hops in particular are so labor intensive. And you want to make sure that you have good production. You want to make sure that you have something to fall to harvest and so on. It's not just actually growing it. You have to harvest it properly and store it properly, so on. So it's trust me, it's a work in progress. Every single year we want to expand our hop yard, even apply new techniques, and as we grow, our needs change and so on. So it's.
But we kind of tackled the whole hop yard from a different angle too, because we're building a hop yard not just for brewing beer, but to make sure we had some products to expand into to make other products too.
Oh, okay, so not just beer.
Yeah, not just beer.
Everyone thinks and links hops to beer,
right.
but hops it's almost like a magical kind of plant that has many uses, I think, and that's what we're trying to flush out is these other uses that we can experiment with, and we can get into that later if you like.
Yeah, for sure.
So stay tuned.
What were some of the challenges to opening this place, and some of the challenges to keeping it open?
Well, I think that we took an existing building, right? It was perfect in town. It had all the utilities, electricity, 3-phase power, natural gas, close to a workforce too, right? And but the vision was to build this out at the brewery.
Right.
But without all that there, it made sense to buy this building and repurpose a dealership, right? But
was there a second choice? Was there other places that you were looking at, or
not
this
really.
was it?
We kind of landed on this one, but it made sense because it was a lot of it was already here.
Right.
But we didn't realize how much it would take to renovate it. And I mean, I'm glad that we did it. Just like the hops. I mean, if we're going to refer someone to or recommend building a hop yard, we would let them really take a second and a third consideration doing it because there's a lot more work than meets the eye.
Right.
But knowing that we've already done it, we're already
He's
past
smiling
that.
as you say that, right? He's like, no doubt. And that was one of my questions to you, Rose, right? You decided to do it. Was there ever a point where we're like, what are we doing? Like, maybe we shouldn't have done this portion of it and just stuck with making the beer?
Yeah. Well, maybe that should be our thought every day.
Yeah, true.
Like, what are we doing? But you know what? It really comes down to our whole idea and our vision for what we wanted to do and eventually become. You know, you had to start working in that direction. So, like, it's just in our blood to farm, and so how do you marry all that together? We love to drink beer, and you know. So
I don't at all. I hate it myself.
Where's our beer now? We should have a beer here.
we should be having a beer right now.
But I mean, how can you have the vision of being proud of what you grow and not be proud of what you can make from it?
Right.
So it's like for us to call up those different suppliers and have malt barley delivered to us, all the hops delivered to us, and not have a hand in it when we are quite capable of growing it. I think that's part of, you quickly forget about all the hard work because the end result is that much better. Right. And I think that all that effort and hard work, it shows in the products that we make, not only from our beer, but from our flour mixes and some other cool products that we're going to be, you know, releasing and stuff. But that's all shows in the value that all that effort that we put in there, and we're hoping that the consumer sees that too.
Right, you guys, like I was saying to you before, that you guys seem to take on a lot. Like I know that, hey, maybe the hop yard was a lot to learn, and there's certain aspects of brewing beer. There's a lot to learn as opposed to, you know, you guys were selling it before and getting into the craft beers, but you always seem to take on a little bit more. You know, you guys are out there media-wise, social media-wise, TV, you know, everything. You're out there quite a bit. You seem to be very forward as far as, you know, marketing when it comes to craft brewery. What makes you keep on taking on more?
This can-do attitude, I think, is part of it, right? If you envision it, you take a stab at it, and that's the only we've been brought up that way. Whether or not it's the right direction, you know, will eventually you got to try something. And as far as like the marketplace, I think it's very competitive. And in the truth of it is that nothing is handed to you. You have to constantly work at it.
Yeah, gotta get it.
So you never like take your foot off the gas, and you're always like working forward and trying to think of new ideas. And that's part of the beauty of what the position we're in. We're not answering to anybody, except for our banker probably. Right?
I didn't like that idea.
But you know what? We're taking chances, and we're also like, you know, coming up with ideas that it's our ideas. We can move forward on that. And not to say we're not receptive to other ideas, but you know, I think we're in the driver's seat. We can do that.
But I think too is that we, even though it's perceived that we're taking, you know, big chances or risks and stuff, but we've done the background, we've done the analysis of it, I think, to our best of our ability. And
You're not just jumping in.
Yeah, and it's like I think we're not scared of trying something new, but we believe in it, that's the right direction. And if it's revealed that it's the wrong direction, then we're not scared to change directions too. So I think that we are not risk takers. We analyze it and we just make sure that we put, if we're going to be jumping in something, let's do it the best way, and it's not going to be given to you. So you got to work hard at it.
Yeah, and if that square peg doesn't fit that round hole,
Jam it.
just
Grab a bigger hammer.
Grab a bigger hammer. Exactly.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work. Okay.
But a lot of sleepless nights too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stress, not only with farming, but with the brewing industry and stuff like that too. So the thing is that if you're not apt to accepting that, then it's gonna be a hard struggle. But I think that we embrace that every morning to say that it's a challenge and we're going to overcome it, right? And it's a belief that we're going to get to the other side and we're going to be all better for it. So.
Well, you guys are businessmen from even before this, right? So it's not like when it comes to running your own business that everything is going to go according to plan.
We've lost lots of money in the past.
Well, not too much, right? You can't. I think that what we have is we can think for ourselves, right? So we're not relying on someone else to give us the answer. We can. That's the one thing, is that the answer's out there. We just got to figure it out. And so when it becomes when you say successful, well, you know, we're talking about the successes, but there's lots of failures too.
Right.
And that's what gets you the chance to be successful, is like overcoming those failures. And that's where most business people fail, is that they just like stop right there. And you actually just have to keep on going and figuring it out. And trust me, you have a supportive, like, you know, probably wonderful family and wives too, and super staff that work for us. And it's all together, right? That's what you have to run a team together. Chris and I can't do it all ourselves. We rely on each other for, you know, and truthfully, we actually have polar opposite opinions of most things.